Hello. Okay, there we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Houdini Hangout. My name is Peter, and I am the host of the stream. Sorry, I'm a little, maybe a little frazzled today is a good way of putting it, but that's fine. We're here. We're gonna do some Houdini stuff. Should be fun. Yeah, hope you're all doing well out there. And yeah, let me pull up the chat because I don't even have that open right now. Oh man, it's all happening here. All right, cool. Anyways, hope everybody's doing great out there. Yeah, so tonight we are going to do I don't know what that is. Elbow cough. I don't have that emoji, apparently. Hello, VFX Maniac. Nice to have you. Maybe that's what you meant. Maybe I coughed. I don't remember. Anyways, hope everybody's doing great. Tonight we're going to do a little bit of a kind of a viewer's choice. I mean, I maybe have some ideas that we could possibly do, but I'm definitely not like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I even have like a good idea for tonight. So yeah, I was kind of going to leave it up to you guys. If you have any suggestions or thoughts or anything like that, there's some topic suggestions online that I could maybe play around with, but I'm not super confident about my abilities with them. So yeah, we'll see here what goes on with it. But yeah. Anyways, hope you're all doing very well tonight. Not sure, like I said, not sure exactly what we're going to do here, but certainly happy to hear from everybody and see what it is that maybe we should work on tonight. My standard kind of spiel is that, you know, if you've got questions or thoughts or think of a better way to do it than what I'm doing, feel free to chime in the chat and just say, hey, you should really think of this. And that's always great and nice to, you know, nice to have people be able to, you know, give feedback and stuff like that live. And yeah, if, can we do a snow shader? I mean, I don't even know how to do that even remotely. I think that's one of the hardest things to do in VFX in all of 3D is snow shader. So I'm going to say no. I don't often say no, but I don't think we're going to get anything useful out of that from me, unfortunately. But it's a good thought. I could probably do a snow simulation better than I could do a snow shader. But yeah, anyways. So yeah, so that's the that's some of the thoughts here. But thank you, Gerota. You've got a lot of O's at the beginning of your name, so I'll just call you Gerota because I'm not gonna go, oh, I guess I just did. But cool. Well, thank you for the suggestion. I truly have no idea how to even do that. I'm not a rendering specialist by any means. I've mentioned that several times on the stream, unfortunately. And so that is my unfortunate curse of doing this, is that I'm not amazing at rendering. But let's, just for fun here, I'm going to throw this up on screen. Let's just, oh, yep, dramatic fade. Perfect. Just what I was hoping for. So I have this, and I'm just going to minimize these here. And I have a bunch of suggestions. There's some suggestions about cops. There's a vellum setup for a sail. That one, honestly, I'm not totally sure about that because of the little eyelet on it. That's a little strange. Oh, this one's actually streamed already. All right, let me change it to that. Topic suggestions. Snake locomotion. That's kind of interesting, but again, I'm not 100% sure how to do it. Pastry bread sim. Probably MPM, but I'm not. It's not my. I don't know. I think it's cool, but you know, if you want to do it, we can try. The vehicle collision setup. No, we already talked about that one. Or that there's a thing in here that's actually a whole talk on it. So there's no need to listen to me talk about it when there's other people that know better. Rain sim, I mean, would be super easy. If you want to do that, we can. I mean, that would probably just be like be similar to like a condensation thing with some with just particles as well. Motion mixer, maybe could check that out. Doing some procedural geometry, custom velocity fields. This one's very similar to the sails and things like that. Yeah, lots of things in here. So I guess this is a place to just promote the stream as well. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Metal bend with MPM. Yeah, we might be able to try that. That's kind of interesting. Looks like we only have 2 people in the chat right now, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. We could take a look at that probably. Trying to think of... yeah, we could maybe do that. I'll have to think about that a little bit. Cool. Well, if anybody wants to join the Discord server, you can go on to HoudiniHangout.com, and there is a link there to an invitation for the Discord server, and you're more than welcome to go there and be a part of the conversation online and give suggestions and things like that for future streams. So yeah, if you're interested in that, go to HoudiniHangout.com and grab the invite link. I think that sounds like a fun thing to at least play with, some metal MPM. I mean, it's going to be slow. Metal is definitely the chat doesn't appear on the stream, I don't think. No, I'm seeing it there. Maybe it might have just been I might have hit something wrong on my stream deck. I think it's showing up now because I see your chat there. C4 MYK or K4 C4. I wanted to see a CMYK and anyways, I see it there, so I think it should be okay. The YouTube chat isn't appearing on the stream. Let me double check that real quick. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's being relayed. You're saying it doesn't appear on the actual, like in the chat box, I think is what you're saying, right? Hey, Athens, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Well, I'm not sure. I'd be curious to see. I mean, it'll show up on the stream itself, but maybe it's not showing up in the chat box there. That's really strange. Thanks for the heads up, K4. I'll have to look at that and see. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. If you'd like to see the chat, you can always go to the Discord server. There, the chat is relayed live there as well. So if you'd like to see the chat, you're more than welcome to. Okay. Anyways, let's get up to something here. So cool. Thanks for letting me know about that. All right. So yeah, let's maybe mess around with some MPM. That's kind of cool. It's a cool idea. All right, let's do this and this. Oh, what is today? 25th. And we'll just call this viewer's choice. And maybe we'll do a few other things in here too. Okay, let's add a geometry node. Let's start getting going here. We'll do this sim MPM metal. All right. I want to say that there is an MPM. Let's do configure. Okay. Let's take a look at this just to see an example of this, I guess. Be a good idea to at least take a look at it. If you're not familiar, there's a lot of these nice configures in here. And yeah, we can at least see what's going on here. So, so we have this sheet. And let's just take a look at it. So we just have a grid, turning it into a sheet here. So we're saying the distance to the frame, and I think we're pinning those points based on that. So the distance, if the distance is less than that, we're going to pin to animation. We could probably take a look at that and see the attribute. There it is. So that's what's going to be pinned inside of here. So this will be stationary then. That should stay completely stationary. So then we have this sphere, some displacement on the sphere, and then it gets transformed. And I'm going to guess that that gets... Hey, Enya, it wasn't... None of your comments were coming through. That is strange. I wonder if YouTube has broken something with Restream. That would be really fun. Sorry, let me just check that out. Hello, Enya, by the way. I'll leave. I just made I made a comment on there, and yeah, it doesn't look like it's coming through. You're right. Oh. Okay. It just came in now. Interesting. Just saw Home Depot houseplant. Hi. Hello, houseplant. And maybe mine will come through in a second here. Maybe it's just really delayed. That's silly. Sorry about that. I know that that's kind of a annoying thing. I'm guessing it's just really delayed. Oh, yours came. Weird. Mine didn't come through, but yours did. That's bizarre. Okay. Anyways, carry on. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. Anyways. Yep. That's working. Maybe you're just freaking out for a second there. Hello, everyone. It seems to be working. All right. I'm just going to mute all of my notifications because I'm getting lots of notifications here. So, okay. Great. Hopefully that is good. All right. Well, anyways, looks like some things are working here. Okay. Anyways, back to some Houdini stuff and no more, hopefully, that stuff. Okay, so we've got this transform here, turning it into a collider. It's animated rigid, which is important. And then we're throwing that into the MPM solver. Let's take a look at how this runs. So this is obviously just a default simulation. It's going to have to compile the kernel, which will take a second here. So I'll give that its time to compile here. Usually you're going to hit compile trigger basically at the beginning of when you have a new type of simulation, new model that you're using, basically an OpenCL model. So in this case, the metal is what's causing it to compile. So looks like we might almost be there. It's just compiling another kernel. And then from there, it should hopefully be a little faster. All right. Fortunately, still compiling here. Come on, come on, computer. Compile away, please. Man, sorry, lots of compiling here. I mean, it's only a minute and a half, but it feels like eternity when you're sitting in front of people. We'll just jam out to some lo-fi. This is the unfortunate thing that my my fancy, quote unquote, fancy Threadripper is a little slow at. Hi, Kieran. I see you typing. Hopefully you're coming in to correct me on something or help me with something. I don't know. Oh, no. Yay, it finally got there. Okay, cool. Great. No, so Gerota, the reference there you're making about the container being too big isn't really going to be too much of a case here, because what it's compiling is actually the processing kernel in the background. It's not actually anything with the sim itself. It's just the kernel that it's calculating. However, the more stiff that a material is, the higher that this, or the longer that this will take. If this was something softer, it would it certainly would not go quite as slow. Okay, so let's just look at what we've got going on here, and then maybe we can make, you know, something sort of our own. It's a little hard to see with all of this stuff here, so maybe we just turn some of that stuff off there. And so there are the points. Let's turn this into maybe dark gray. I don't know. It's hard. It's a tough one. Maybe just black will be better. I don't know. Hopefully that's okay to see. I'm sure the compression is absolutely butchering it. So we've got this object kind of crashing through here, and just looking to see what my GPU is doing. Okay, yep. So the way that this is going to work is I believe there's going to be a, like we have to basically deform this, right? Because we have these pieces that are now kind of sharp, and we've popped out this sort of plug here. And if we look at this, there's our sphere, right? So we can see how this sort of is breaking that apart. And now down here, let's take a look at what's exactly going on in here. Yeah, so this is just bringing that object in. It's basically just modifying it a little bit and thickening it up, poly extruding it, and putting some UVs on it. And what we're going to do then is I think this is going to take that and fracture it after the fact. So it's basically taking the sim into account, and it's going to fracture it based on that. And there we go. We're starting to see some fractures there. And so now that's the fractured sheet. And then from there, you need to use the MPM deform pieces to deform those fractured pieces. So let's take a look at what that's going to do here. Yep, and there you go. Now we're getting some deformed pieces that are fractured, you know, like a piece of metal, basically. And so that's sort of the idea of how this would work, right? Is that you would take an input and, you know, do the simulation on it, and then post the sim, we then fracture it and deform it based on the simulation. So this is basically how really any MPM simulation would go. And you can drop this down in your network right now and take a look at it and see how it's set up here. Trying to think what we could do that's different than this exactly. Yeah, the post fracture is pretty neat. Like I don't exactly know what it's doing here, but I'm pretty sure that it's, yeah, you can see it's it's creating a lot of interior details there, and I'm pretty sure that it's using this based on the actual information from this simulation here. So, I think it looks at the time samples that you have, and goes from there. Yeah, you can see right here that the end frame of like the simulation that it's going to take into consideration is frame 10. So luckily we'd already simulated up to frame 10. If we wanted to go further than that, that would be where the you would need to simulate a little bit longer than that. But yeah, you can see how this is all, you know, deforming and pressing it forward like that. I'm trying to think. What could we do that's a little bit different here? Let's see. Let's maybe take, oops. Let's take a model of some type. Let's see here. Let's go. I'm going to go over to Polyhaven and grab a model of some type here. Let's see. I'll just type in metal. See what we can get here. Yeah, let's do something. Maybe just like, yeah, that seems easy enough. That seems fine. Yeah, let's grab that. And let's just grab an FBX of that. Maybe we'll just crush it. Like crush it down. Give that a shot. All right, let's give it a shot. Okay, that should be good. Let's give this a try. So that's the basic one. So let's just do this. Let's add another geometry here, and we'll call this sim crush watering can, something like that. And turn this off, go in here. Let's do a file. Let's grab the FBX. Obviously going to be huge. So let's transform that there. I think like that should work. How big is that? Yeah, that's cool. That should be fine. Could always maybe make it just a touch bigger. Yeah, sure. That's good. Okay, so let's do an MPM source. And we also need an MPM container. And so we'll take this, throw that up there. So that's going to drive our MPM Okay, I'm just seeing this from Geroda. If we want to keep all the pieces without breaking them and just deform them, can you do that? Yeah, you could. It just depends on if the geometry is breaking or not. Like if your geometry is like breaking apart, you're gonna want to have it. You're gonna want to have it break and not stay as one piece, because then it won't be able to, you know, it won't. It won't deform properly, basically. Can this be done with any object? Yeah, sure. I don't see why not. Don't see why it couldn't be. Yes, you should be able to do this with any object. And I'm going to do this. Do a surface. Yeah, that's seemingly good. Sorry, I got a tickle in my throat there. All right, so that was what we had done before. Let's see what we can do here. How many points do we have here? Zero? I don't understand why it's not telling me how many points we have here. Okay, I just want to check and make sure that I'm not doing anything stupid here. Oh, right, because we're at frame 10. Sorry, that's why. We're at frame 10. 37th. Oh, the metal sheet is what I want to see here. Hide other objects. Yep, this is 37,000. How many points is this? 66,000. All right, that's maybe a few too many. Just gonna try to find a nice, it's maybe similar amount to that other model. Something like that, maybe. Cool. All right, so we've got our MPM container, and then let's do an MPM solver. And we need an MPM collider. And I'm just going to, I think I'm just going to make just a big box. So let's do this 0.1. Oh, oops. Okay. So let's just do something maybe a little different like this. And I think it's M. Yeah, there we go. We'll just have it go, change the axis there and have it go down the y-axis as we transform it. So let's just keyframe that, just the y-axis. And then, I don't know, I'll move it down to like here maybe? That might be too, slanted. Let's just do something like that, maybe. Okay. Put that in here. I'm going to say animated rigid. This one does not. The reason I have an error here is because the container's not in there. So let's just select that. There we go. All right. So let's start it. Go to 24, make another keyframe there maybe, and we'll start it up a bit higher. Something like that. Excuse me, sorry. Oh, Alien XY asks, can you fill it with particles that would represent water to see interactions, or would that be too heavy? you could possibly do that. I think you'd need a lot more particles because you'd need to, the collisions would need to be watertight with that geometry. But yeah, certainly this would work with water inside of it, and would effectively be a two-way simulation, right? So that would work for sure. It just might be a bit heavy for what we're doing right here. So for now, I'm going to say no, because like I don't want to go too crazy with this, but certainly it's plausible. Would just take a lot more time and effort. So let's see here. I want to check this, and yep, let's go to metal for our preset, and we'll just start there, see what happens. We're just emitting it once. I think that should be fine. And yeah, we're gonna have to give this. Yep, it's gonna have to compile this. So unfortunately, the compiling will happen anytime you have a new solver like setup. So unfortunately, because I've made a new solver, we have the compiling time, but we're gonna give that a shot and let it do its thing. It'd be nice to be able to pre-compile these. I know that that's something that that the developers have been, working on to make better, but oh, you know what? I also probably didn't put a ground plane in here, so it's probably going to just fall down. But let's see. No, actually, it looks like there's a ground plane. Let's see here. Just want to make sure I've got some of this stuff set up properly. Okay, ground plane is there. Just gonna turn that off and just use this for the collider. So we don't have that red thing coming down. And we're just gonna let this start simulating, see what happens. Let it do its thing. It's definitely not fast. Metal stuff, solid objects are gonna be fairly slow. Part of the reason there is going to be, let's see if I can switch over here to this. Hopefully it'll show up if I click a few times. Yeah, so our sub-step count right now is at 6,800. So we've got a lot of sub-steps here because metal, in order to keep it, constrained and keep it so that it doesn't kind of run away, we've got a lot of sub-steps that are needed, unfortunately. But it looks like it's starting to collide here. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to hit escape for a second here and go back, and I am going to run a flipbook so we can actually watch it sort of in more real time. So we can see what's going on here. Great. All right. Cool. So we're starting to see simulation go here, and we'll just let this keep kind of frame by frame going along here, and that should just add on to the end of it here. And you can see that obviously this is fracturing, or it's like bending it there. It's not going to be like the most solid metal thing ever, but I think it'll get the idea across hopefully here. Let's see. Kind of smushing. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't do anything too crazy. Looks like the front part of it like broke off. So we'll see what happens here. Which sort of makes sense actually that the front part would break off. So we'll see. See what happens here. Yeah, so there's a lot of new attributes that you don't understand, you're saying. Yeah. So with MPM, there are a few things that are part of the actual implementation of it. We've tried to make it a little bit a little simpler than just the oh, my Houdini's hanging just fine. Thanks, Maitland. Yeah, the attributes are a little strange. There's like a J, and there's a couple other like just kind of strange you know, values that are named some sort of weird, just like letter basically. So yeah, that's doing some cool stuff. That's kind of neat. It's like at least actually buckling and doing some kind of interesting stuff. Yeah, so Solus is saying the thing I love about MPM is instead of using the box as a collider, you could also use another MPM source and it'll still work. Yeah, I mean it's definitely like there's some speed stuff here when you're doing like solid objects. If we were actually doing fluid with it, it would basically add no extra time to it because there's so many substeps already. And those substeps are automatically calculated, and you could try to turn them down, but you could run into some instability issues basically. So that's cool. It's kind of working. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit escape there and stop this. And we can take a look at this maybe without this. Oh, sorry. Without that. We can take a look at what happens here. So this is getting crushed down. We're getting some weird folds in it and stuff like that. And I think we're actually getting some kind of neat interactions here. It's not bad. So Enya was asking, why would you use MPM versus RBD or Vellum? So MPM is a situation where it kind of is used for anything from solid objects through to fluids, basically, and you can mix them and match them in the same simulation. We could throw some water in here and you could see how it would interact with this. I don't think it would do it wouldn't really stay inside of it, but we could play around with that in a second. But that's really tricky to do with something like RBD. And with RBD, you have to do a lot of really weird constraints and like constraint switching. So it's going from like a flexible, I think from a hard constraint to like a rigid constraint. And you got to do some weird stuff when there's like deformations and things like that of like rigid pieces connected together with constraints. So there's a lot of weird stuff that you have to do with RBD. Vellum doesn't really have the solid mechanism that this does. So Vellum can do fluid and like soft body stuff, but when it comes to rigid stuff, it can't really do breaking of rigids. It can do solid rigids, but it's a little harder to do like actual breaking in there and control it in a kind of reasonable manner. Like you wouldn't get all this like buckling and like nice behavior. It'd probably just break apart and just kind of scatter into like grains almost. So that's what you would run into there. So let's try that same let's try that same setup with this and see what we can get excuse me, from the buckling side of things. Let's do an object merge here, and let me just do a file cache as well, just to make sure I've got this saved. So we'll do we'll just do that, and I'm just going to go up to, I'll just come up to frame 24. So I'm just going to delete this and just do frame 24. Save that to disk. That should be good. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to lose my cache. I'm going to put a null down here and just say hello. Yeah, I knew I was going to lose that. Let's do this and we'll say source geo. And then that way I can just reference that down here nicely. And then we're going to do an MPM post fracture. And this, we can say the end frame will be 24. think the geometry is actually a solid. So let's do that. Okay, let me just double check if there was something special going on over here. Okay, might need to change these filler points a little bit there. How small were those? 0.825. All right, let's see. Okay. There we go. Oh, okay. We just want to do it with as a surface and not a solid. So that makes more sense. Cool. Just going to kind of play around with some of these attributes, see if there's any difference here with them. I mean, it doesn't really seem like these are changing all that much with the actual cutting of it. Oh, that is. Okay, so that's the stretching side of it, I think. That is what's... All right, let's see what that looks like. We can always tweak it, right? This is all a post fracture thing, so post simulation. I think it's this one, deform pieces. I think we want to do that. And let's see what we get here. Not quite. Definitely getting something weird happening here. Has this actually got thickness to it? I think it does, actually. Yeah, it does. Okay, so we can't do that. So it's not a surface, it's a solid. Let's just do a Voronoi instead. Maybe that'll be better. Yeah, that's going to be fine. I can live with that. Oh, sorry. I missed the chat there. So Gerota said, can we use a density map to direct where things deform more? Yes, you definitely could. You could use that up here with your actual particles that you're emitting. So like if you wanted it to be more solid in different places, you could come up here and tweak some of your attributes, right? You probably could change, yeah, it would be some of these things like new, NU, hardening, the compression and stretch. I think is there actually a stiffness in here? I feel like there is. Yeah, there is a stiffness there, but why am I not seeing it here? That might, I don't know. You'd have to look and see what that is, but you certainly could use Yeah, you could use attributes here to change these, right? So yeah. Anyways, what just happened here? We lost something. Oh, hello? I don't know what happened there. Just want to see what happens if we tweak some of these things. Yeah, I don't really think that that's changing all that much. So let's just see here. Sorry, I'm kind of just screwing around with this stuff on the fly. See if it changes anything. It's quite a bit smaller, so I'm going to just reduce these both down. See if we get anything interesting here. Yeah, not really. Okay. No, it doesn't need to cache. So I cached the simulation. So this is the simulation here, right? And then the object is just the object. Why does it keep not showing up? That's so weird. And then with the fracture just goes on the static geometry. It references the animation of this point cache and then deforms based, and then it's going to have that available for deformation. Yeah, it's definitely not doing what I would exactly hope for it to do. Turn that down a little more, see if I can't get a couple more pieces out of this. Okay, let's see what that does. I'm just not even sure with all of these here, so. Weird. I mean, some parts of it are definitely like deforming properly, and other parts aren't. Like the bottom there. It's really freaking out. Which I'm not sure why that is. Oh, I don't have points for the bottom, possibly. That might be why. Looks like I don't have enough points for the bottom. Ugh, that's annoying. I wonder if that's just a flat surface. It might be. That might be why it didn't come in before. Well, anyways, it's not the... Yeah, I think that's the problem, is that there's obviously no points here, and these are trying to attach to the closest points in the simulation here, which is not going to work, because I was not thinking about that. So those bottom pieces are going to freak out and kind of deform based on these edges here. The rest of it was actually probably working fine, but let's just come back up here for fun. See if, okay. We have that. Did we lose them or something? I don't understand what happened there. Interesting. If we VDB the mesh before cache. Yeah, the problem is it's not the VD, it's not the mesh, it's the particles. I don't know why that's happening. See, there's my input with the particles on the bottom. And when it comes over here, it's just not liking it. And there's the problem. I just needed to turn that down a little bit, unfortunately. Okay. Let's just, maybe we'll let this go again and we'll save that to disk. No, I don't think the ground is deleting them. I think it's just, that probably there was a slight mismatch in the grids from the source to the solver. And so I think it wasn't properly bringing those points in. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I did the wrong thing here. I changed the substep, not the version. That was stupid. Yeah, so I think what it was doing was just that it wasn't bringing those particles into the actual simulation itself, and that was causing that bottom to be open, and then obviously there's just no points there. There's no points there. So that's part of the issue. So this should hopefully fix that, and then at least it'll deform relatively correctly. There might still be some errors and stuff like that. This is a really low res simulation, and I mean, as far as simulations go, this is going to be a couple minutes, right? You know, obviously if we're doing something much larger and more official, we would maybe do, you know, you could imagine simulations taking an hour, you know, 2 hours, things like that. So this is going to be incredibly fast for this short little simulation here. So, or at least fast enough, faster. Too bad I have a 3090. Be nice to have a newer graphics card, but I don't think anybody's getting any new graphics cards or computers anytime soon. So we're just going to have to live with what we got. So yeah, hopefully this machine sticks around with me for a while and doesn't die on me. It would be very nice. Anyways, yeah, I'm just going to look and see if I missed anything else. Oh, how did I learn Houdini and what's my best advice I have for learning it? I learned Houdini when I was at a small advertising studio. We wanted to have more wanted to have more simulation in our workflow. We were mainly C4D at the time, and we just wanted to have simulation be a more part of our workflow. And Cinema 4D didn't really offer that. I mean, this was now about 10 years ago. Yeah. And so when I was at SIGGRAPH, I found out about Houdini from a bunch of talks and people, you know, talking about it for big films, but then also seeing it used in other things, like a bunch of people switched over from C4D to Houdini and for advertising stuff, for commercials. And yeah, that's kind of how I got hooked on it. And I've been using it a lot ever since. Although until I worked at Side Effects, I was still having to use Cinema 4D and After Effects a lot as well. So I had to know those at a professional level as well, which was frustrating, but fine. It was how I paid the bills. So my best advice I have for learning it, I would say don't start with big simulations first. Like that's your worst case scenario. That's what I did, and I was dumb for it. You're much better off getting familiar with attributes and you know, geometry and stuff like that in Houdini, starting to understand the procedural nature of it first before you get so far into the rabbit hole of like, how do I do a flip simulation and stuff like that? Or even something like this, like a MPM simulation. Like, simulation is not your best place to start with Houdini. That was my foolish mistake, and I think it's better to not kind of go in that path. I don't think that's your strongest path to go in. And yeah, I would say take it slow, but like give yourself things that you feel like you can tackle, like piece at a time. You know, don't don't give yourself some huge thing where you're like, I'm going to have this building explode and it's going to get, doused with water and that's going to put the fire out. And like, don't do that. That's so crazy. There's so many things like interacting, like multiple sim interactions and stuff like that. Just don't do it. That's a bad idea for your first thing you're doing. So yeah, that's an interesting suggestion there, Athens. Don't use shelf tools unless it's to pick apart and learn from it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with using, presets and shelf tools and things like that. I really like these newer configure things. Like if you wanted to do, like if you just type in configure here, there's a bunch of like simulation based configure stuff that are like actual setups that you can drop down and take a look at and like, get better from. And those are good things to mess with. Now the Vellum ones are a little different because those are a slight bit older, but like the Flip ones and the MPM ones, those are actually like all whole setups that you can drop down. And I think there's actually, there's Pyro configure ones as well. So the Pyro ones should drop them down like these networks, and you can actually walk through the networks and see what they do for sure. I think that's a great way to learn by walking through them. If you're just blindly clicking on shelf tools and expecting that to do all of your work, I think that's kind of, I think you could run into some problems with that. But hopefully that's helpful. All right, let's make sure that this worked. Hopefully it did. Yes, it looks like it did. And our bottom is nice and flat. Look at that. Hooray. Okay. Source geo. Why? I don't understand that. That is so weird. I do not know why that's happening. All right, so let's now do the MPM post fracture. So we'll just do the Voronoi with this. That's fine. I'm not really too worried about it. Yeah. Starting out, you relied too much on them. Yeah, for sure. If you're just clicking them and just being like, this should do my whole setup for me. Yeah, you're not gonna be really getting the most out of things. Yeah, it's working. It's a little weird. I mean, it's a thin piece of geometry, so it looks like we're getting some like intersections and stuff like that. But I mean, it's sort of working. There's definitely some weird stuff happening, but it's doing it. It's sort of doing it. And to be honest, it's really tricky to set this kind of stuff up with RBD. So, we're getting some decent results, and you can always tweak that and probably get better. I mean, obviously this geometry is like super thin as well. So that certainly isn't helping things, and you're trying to like fracture it and break it and do all that kind of stuff. It also, those particles might not perfectly be lining up with the geometry itself. So like if I was actually doing it, I think you'd want to do this MPM source as a solid and then have the points be inside of it a little bit more, but because it's so thin, you need a ton of points, and that's just going to take forever. So I'm going to call this a win for us at this point, and we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, it's kind of cool. What's my advice to get better and to get unstuck from tutorial level if solo and not in a studio? Well, I was solo. I didn't have anyone in the studio to help me. I had to just kind of learn it myself on tutorials and stuff like that. I think it's really helpful. It was helpful to me to try to understand a little bit of linear algebra, which is just like vector stuff and things like that, and a little bit of programming, right, with Vex and things like that. So for me, those were really important to help me have kind of this Swiss Army knife that I could use at any point with programming, in Vex. And that really got me unstuck a lot of times, and maybe overcomplicated things at others. So to get better, honestly, it's just repetition. It's doing stuff over and over and kind of like trying new things and pushing yourself a little bit further and harder. Giving yourself permission to fail. That's always the hardest thing to learn. Like, it's okay to fail. Yeah, I don't know. I think those are, I think those are hard. It's a hard thing to feel like I mean, I still feel like that sometimes where I'm like today, even just doing this, like, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't really have a good idea. Like, there's suggestions and things like that, but you don't always, sometimes it's just doing it that helps you get unstuck, right? So yeah, sometimes it's just trying and seeing what you can do. Houdini's very forgiving because like you can set things up a bunch of different ways, and it'll usually allow you to do a lot of stuff. Now, that's not totally true in Solaris, but in any SOP geometry context, you can usually get away with that. I felt confident in my abilities, Enya, once I did Mardini. And that was, I didn't do so I started learning Houdini in probably 2016, and I didn't even know about Mardini probably, or it didn't even happen until much later, but I did it in 2021. And for me, that was when I started becoming really confident. And probably about 6 months later, I started this stream because I was like, oh, I've gotten fast enough to probably be able to do some Houdini stuff like live online, on a stream. So that was really when I got confident in my abilities. But I mean, I'm still not confident in my abilities. I have never worked at a large studio or anything like that. So, yeah, I don't think I think the people that act like they're confident in their abilities are kind of, trying to fool you a little bit. I think everybody's a little bit unconfident of their abilities, really. And it's just about doing things and trying and, failing a lot. That's sometimes how you get better at things. But yeah, great questions. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. All right. So I'm curious here. What do we want to do? Yes. Oh wow, there was a Mardini in 2014. That's crazy. I should have been doing it back in 2014. Yeah, doing a challenge a day is really a good skill. It's a really good thing to come across. And obviously March is coming up soon. I don't know I honestly don't remember if that has been announced yet. Let me look, just out of curiosity. I don't know if it's been announced. Go away. Houdini. Hey, there it is. Did get announced. I thought I saw that today. I just wasn't 100% sure. So here's the Mardini challenge, and yeah, it's super fun. This is very similar to how it was for the year that I did it. It's a little bit more open-ended, right? It's just a lot of prompts, right? They're just, if Grayscale Gorilla was still a thing. I don't know. If you can use it, you mean? Maybe. Yeah, there you go. Grayscale Studio. Great. Yeah, go for it. And yeah, stuff from the content library allowed. Third-party tools are allowed. Redshift can be used. I think I actually used Arnold when I did it because I was at a studio and we had a license for Arnold. So I used Arnold when I was doing it at home. So that was fun. Used my floating license, I think, from the studio to home, if I remember correctly, which was fun. Or actually, you know what? No, I was teaching at the time, so I think I had a teaching license. Anyways, yeah. So use third-party renderers, do whatever. But yeah, this is really good suggestion. Highly recommend it. That by the end, I was feeling super confident with myself in all of that. So yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, so there's a little suggestion there. All right. You know what? Let's try the water thing in here. Why not? Can't promise that it's going to do anything interesting, but we'll give it a shot. So we're going to do another MPM source here. What is going on here? This is so weird. I do not understand what's going on there. Okay, so we have this. Okay, just trying to think of what the best way of doing this is, but I think I can do this. I think I'm gonna do a blast. Just select a bunch of primitives. And let's see, can I do, I think it's a, like that, yep. And then what is the fill selection here? I can never remember. What is it? Is it like A, and then there we go. It's H. It's down here at the bottom. So if I do Shift H, there we go. Flood fill that. Great. So that's my selection, and I'm going to delete non-selected. That should be good. Great. Let me just see what this looks like. Sure, that's fine. Let me just reverse these. What? Hello? Oh, right. I think it just reversed in general. No. And I think my normals are not right here. So let me do. There we go. Okay. And then if I do a polyfill. Oh, I see what you're saying there. K4. Revealing the cards as you go. Yeah, I mean, people might be already working on it, but I mean, at this point, like, yeah, that's the case. Like, you're gonna start working on it. You know, you get a couple days maybe ahead of time. It's up to you. I mean, I think I did it very like by the book personally, but yeah, it's your call. I mean, it's just one thing a day, you know, to submit. Let's see. Let's do polyfill, and we'll do a triangle fan. Jeez. There we go. Let's do an MPM source. And this is going to be, let's do some fluid here. This is going to be, we'll just do water. And let's see what happens here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to color that. Let's color that blue just so we can see the difference of them. And this one, I'm going to color like a grayish color here. You were talking to yourself on, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on there. Like, I'm not seeing them either on YouTube. I have no idea what's going on with that. Like, I actually have YouTube open and I'm not seeing any like chat messages coming in there. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that, Maitland. Hello. All right, so let's change this to like a grayish color. Yeah, like that, sure. Make it a little less harsh on the eyes. And I'm gonna make another version of this here, version 3. And let's just see what happens. I think it's just gonna come right through, to be honest, but you can see that water will work as well. So it has to compile the kernel for the water, but it should only have to compile the water kernel. Yeah, I think something's up with YouTube tonight, to be honest. That's just weird. I don't know why it's doing that. All right, compile, kernel, compile. This will be very interesting to see what this first step does. I'm guessing the water's just gonna go just fly out of it. That's my guess. I mean, it's got holes in it. You can see through it. So I'm really not thinking that this is gonna hold any water, but I guess we'll see. Fortunately, now there's way more points. So it's really upset. Just 415,000 points. Wonder if I could lower that. Actually, that's a good call from me. I actually don't think it came out. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, let's try this. Let's see if we can't change this here. Okay, yes, we can. Let's try that. No, maybe this, sorry. A little more. Nope, that's too much. Let's try this. I think it can handle having separate sizes, so let's see if that works. Maybe not. See if that breaks everything. At least it's way less points. It's like a few 100,000 less points. It's really funny. My CPU is at 3% and my GPU is at 100%. So it's just very weird to see that in a simulation. That doesn't happen all that often. I can hear my GPU spinning. I mean, it looks like it's holding somehow. I don't know how that's possible, but it seems to be holding. So that's kind of interesting. We'll see where this gets in a few frames. Gonna hit escape here and just start up a new player, and we'll do this. See what happens. I mean, I'm shocked that that water hasn't flown out of there. That's absolutely crazy to me. Maybe it's because it's like colliding through the surface, like because they're like overlapping. Maybe that's holding them in place. There's definitely some weird jiggling happening there up at the top. Oh, you know what? It's did I not change it to water? I might not have. Oh, maybe I did. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, it's definitely doing some really weird stuff. It's like Jello. It's probably because it's too big. Let me just see here. Let me just make sure I didn't totally screw that up. Yes. Water. Interesting. No, seems to be right. Oh, well, good. I'm glad the music is nice and relaxing. It's nice for me to not feel like I have to talk the whole time either, which is kind of a benefit. Not sure. Not sure why that's acting so jello-y. Oh, bummer. I think I checked that and that invalidated my cache. Well, we'll let it go again. we go again. Oh, yeah. That's a great point. Yeah, I could peek it in. Good point. Thank you. Thank you. I will do that, in fact. Here, yep, of course. Why would we have geometry? That makes no sense. Okay. Normal. All right, so let's do a peak. Throw it in there. Oh yeah, we're getting some weird stuff down there, but let's see. Let's see if this just deals with it anyway. Okay, I'm gonna do this a little differently. We're gonna take this. So the peak node moves based on the normals. But unfortunately, because we have this little lip at the bottom here, it's doing some wacky stuff. So yeah, see how it moves like based on, so it like basically pushes it in the normal direction. But what I could do instead is do a VDB from polygons. I'm not going to do the peak. And let's just do this. Something like that. That's fine. Doesn't really need to be too exact. And then we can do an SDF reshape. And instead of dilate, we'll do a road. And that should give us a nice input there. So we'll do convert VDB. We'll convert it to polygons. Actually, I wonder if we could just throw this in here. Would this work? Yeah, look at that. It sure does. Don't need to convert it back to polygons. We could just use that. All right, so let's see here. Okay, now those are definitely way inside, so that's great. Let's see what happens. Here's a question. In Houdini, is it possible to adjust an object's mass to make it fall faster in a DOP simulation? If so, should we use the RBD bullet solver alone, or would a multi-solver setup be more appropriate? Changing an object's mass wouldn't make it fall any faster unless there was wind, like drag being calculated. Because if you've ever, I don't know if you remember there was they actually did the experiment on the moon where they dropped a feather and something else, maybe a hammer, and they both fell the exact same. Yeah. So you'd be better to actually adjust the gravity to make it fall a little faster. But also scale has a big part to do with how fast something drops. You make sure you're working at a reasonable scale, I guess. But also sometimes working at small scales can mess things up as well. So kind of depends on what it is that you're doing. Somehow, as I'm sitting here and like not even thinking about what I'm doing, this water is not coming out, which is interesting. So somehow that's are you talking about changing the mass? You want it to be more accurate? Because yeah, you definitely can change the mass, and that'll affect like things like inertia and you know how much it will fracture another object if it's crashing into it, things like that. But it won't change how fast it's going. So that fluid is actually staying in there. That's crazy. All right, come on, crush. See what happens. Let's see what happens here. It's like watching paint dry. I always see, it's funny, like I know probably people don't love watching just like simulations and it's just like whatever, but I love watching the particle separation saving it from leaving. Yeah, probably. I mean, it's a little, the particles are a little bit bigger, so they're like colliding, I guess. It's probably the particle collision that's stopping it from doing that. So, but it's definitely moving in there. Like it's all free to move now, so it's kind of crazy. I am really shocked. I'm hoping when it like smushes down that something's actually gonna like come out of it. Oh, see it coming up to the top. Yeah, Mirko, that's a great comment too, that there might be some level of viscosity and surface tension that's keeping the particles together. Yeah, if that's the case, then yeah, it's sticking together. Alien, yes, MPM does have volumes. It's kind of like a subset of Flip, where it's working on both particles and volumes. But the particle collision side of it is probably what's keeping it from coming through at that like particle simulation step. But this is definitely going to like flow out the top and like ooze out. So it's kind of interesting. It's going to do something. Oh, it's actually getting crunched too because the collider is up there. So that's why it's like stopping it from coming out the top. Wonder if it'll come through the sides at all. Looks like it's probably not going to. It's a bummer. Yeah, I'd probably have to go a lot lower, like viscosity and stuff like that to make it this watering can's useless. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely useless. But I guess it is proving the fact that you could do something like this, you know, on some level. Kind of interesting. If that top collision object wasn't so big and solid, it would certainly come out the top, I would say. I'm guessing it's actually putting it under crazy pressure. So I wonder what would happen if the thing went away. I'm not going to resimulate this whole thing, but it's working. There is water inside of that can, and it would do some stuff if this wasn't like the most simplistic, like nothing simulation. If we were, you know, busting a hole in it, it certainly would. It would break apart properly. So it's kind of interesting. And also, if that like front part was like open, like if it went up into that front part, because I think it's actually like closed apart, like closed off into two separate like pieces. I think it would come out there. So anyways, it's, you know, it's not doing anything overly cool, but it does technically work and we have water inside of it. Just the simulation isn't allowing it to come out because the particles are probably a little bit too big. And if we turn the particles way down, we're going to have a really, really slow simulation that'll take a long time. So feel free to do that yourself if you'd like to. But you know, I'm not going to subject everyone watching to 20 minutes of simulation just to see if we can get it to some water to squirt out of there. So yeah, that's cool though. It's hopefully it shows how simple it is to do this. You basically just can have multiple streams of MPM coming together basically like this. You can have a Lord of the Rings watch party. Yeah, exactly. I mean, hey, that would be pretty awesome. I last year instead of watching the Super Bowl, me and our friends who live a couple houses down, they had us over and we did a Lord of the Rings watch party. So I don't think we watched all of them, but I think we got through like one or two movies that night. And this last Super Bowl we watched a fan cut of The Hobbit. So, you know, better use of our time than watching the Super Bowl. Cool. Well, that is fun. Thank you for the suggestion, whoever had said that, I don't even remember. Gerota said that. So thank you, Gerota. Should organize some Houdini speed runs. I don't know what that means. What's a Houdini speed run and how would that work? I'm very, very curious what that would be. I think a Houdini speed run is a Houdini battle, and boy, is that stressful. I think that's what that would be. Yeah, let's, you know what? I was actually kind of thinking of doing some Pyro would be kind of interesting. Give a problem to solve, people compete to solve that as quick as possible. Wow. Yeah, that would be crazy. That would be a really interesting thing. Yeah, you should organize that. There you go. That would be cool. Yes, I did a Houdini battle at SIGGRAPH in 2022, and it was like the first thing I'd really ever done at a SIGGRAPH. And it was one of the first things I'd ever done as part of side effects. And so those two things compounded on top of each other made it incredibly stressful for me. And yeah, it was pretty brutal. If I was doing one now, like just from home, I would be whatever. I'd probably be fine. I mean, this is similar to doing a Houdini battle, you know, every time I do it. Just doing it in front of people is a lot different. Yeah, so Annie was saying, is there any way we could do some destruction or liquids or pyro? I actually think pyro would be kind of cool. Maybe we'll do some pyro because that sounds cool. And I haven't done that in a while, so let's do it. All right, let's call this sim pyro. I'm gonna make like I don't know. I'm gonna call it like Twister. It's not really gonna be like a tornado or anything, but just that's kind of what I'm thinking would be kind of cool to do. All right, so let's do we'll need a pyro source. Yeah, exactly. We'll do some custom velocity fields. Agree. I need a pyro solver. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do a tube, a polygonal tube on the z-axis, and cap it off. Meter seems pretty big. Excuse me. Let's do like that. Height. Something like that. And let's transform this up just a little bit. So it's sitting up on the ground. We'll do it like 0.2. We're going to do a pyro source. Let's do source smoke. Maybe we'll do source color too. We'll do the mode. We'll just do a volume scatter. Let's do maybe something like that. Looks pretty good. And the color, I don't know. We'll do something like a pink. Oh, hey, Nicola, thanks for the very kind comment. That's very nice. First time catching me live. Love listening to recorded videos at work. Nice. Thank you. That's very nice. Glad you can catch me live. I'm sorry that it's probably a crazy time for whatever time zone you're in. Fortunately, I am apparently very far from a lot of people that often watch me. So, you know, I do my best, but, you know, 6 p.m. is about as reasonable of a time as I can do, unfortunately. But okay, so we've got this density, temperature. Cool. Let's add some velocity here. Let's do some point velocity. Actually, yes, that'll work. Conical noise. So let's add some velocity. We'll put this down the z-axis. So let's just do one here in the z-axis, and let's do some trails there. Yep. Now we can see those. So these are trails going like behind. It's like coming back from the direction it should be going. So these are all going now to like kind of the right of the screen here. And let's add some conical noise to it, and we will do the direction also like this. And let's just turn the scale. No, we want the scale up. We just want the... I was kind of thinking we wanted it to be a little bit more... No, that's fine. All right, we'll do that. I guess that should be okay. And then what we can do is... It's a perfect time. Thanks. Let's do a transform again. And we'll just have this... I really wish that thing didn't do that, but whatever. Let's do this with a rotation in the y-axis, and I'll just have this be $T. How fast is that going to go? That's going to go real slow. So let's do that times 10. I don't know. Still very slow. Actually, I can have it just do, maybe I'll do it 180, and that'll go 180 degrees every... Yep. Cool. Let's try something like that. That's cool. Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, maybe we want to do the volume rasterize attributes here. And because I kind of wonder if I could just transform those. I don't think I need to calculate these constantly because it's going to basically be the same. Let's see. Let's pull some attributes here. We'll do density. We'll do temperature. We'll do CD, alpha, and V. Okay, and then we'll normalize this by the clamped coverage. Smooth it out a little bit there. The alpha is used for color, so that'll come in with the color. You need that to have the color be part of it in the Pyro solver. Just gonna get this maybe a little bit closer. Okay, 0.01 is fine. And then will this just rotate that around? Yeah, look at that. Cool. That will work. Perfect. All right, so let's put this in here. Let's give this a ground plane. Closed below 0. And let's see what happens here. I have a very low setup here. So paste relative references there, just to make sure those are kind of synced together. Cool. So first thing I'm going to change is the buoyancy, because there's too much buoyancy. Did I raise my density? No. Oh, Maitland, you were in the first Houdini battle? Wow, cool. I didn't know that. That's cool. All right, so let's see here. We're gonna turn this down to like 0.1. Okay, a little too much. A little too little, I should say. We'll go like that. Quarter. Nice. And I think I could turn this down a little bit. So let's turn it down a little. Let's go to 0.2. I was getting a few million voxels there. So we're just going to make this a little bit more reasonable maybe for us. Okay. Cool. So I think I want to do the advection reflection if I'm remembering correctly, because I think that'll make some more interesting stuff for the ground collision maybe. I can never remember what that's actually all for, but all right, so let's play around with some stuff here. Yeah, it seems like there hasn't been one in a while. That's true. Deb does them a lot at like live events and stuff like that nowadays. Okay, that's good. We're reducing the resizing a little bit, making sure that this stays a little bit closer to the actual. Deb said the last one got Zoom bombed. Oh, so maybe people found the link and because it wasn't like password protected or something. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe a bunch of people came in that weren't really expected to. You know, I don't 100% know what the advection reflection does. Right. So it's basically, I think it's what it says here is that it's trying to help better vortex like containment. So basically keeping like vortices like alive a little bit better, it seems like. I feel like I've noticed it for like when you're close to the ground, if you're like pushing something along the ground, it can help with, at least it seems like it. But yeah, that's the idea. So let's see here. Let's do a quick little A/B test here. So let's disable it. And I'm just going to close that because we already used that. So let's do this here. And we'll just see what this looks like. Do a little A/B comparison. All right, that seems good, about 70 frames. So let's turn on single project and we'll make another. Kay. Hey, Kay, how's it going? Things are well. Quick question. Do you know if there's a way to adjust quaternions with attribute adjust SOPs? No, there is no attribute adjust quaternion. There's only vector. Now, if it'll do a vector 4, I guess maybe it could. I've never tried that before though. Sorry. Now I'm just, my sim is just going off into infinity here. Let's go here to the sequence list and I can check and we can kind of A/B these together. So there you can see some of what's happening, right? We're getting, this is a little bit more almost like, it's almost a little bit more viscous. And now this is going to have a little bit more like separation. And like, you can see these vortices are kind of going around. And let's do the double project, see what happens there. Make another sequence, let that go. Unichiro, did a good stream on quaternions. Yeah. I mean, I would assume any one of his streams are good. He's pretty brilliant dude from what I've seen. So yeah, definitely go watch his stuff for sure. Yeah, so here we can see now that we're getting a way different kind of look. So this is from the no what is it? Reflection. There you go. Nice. Thanks for sharing that. So this is just the regular without anything special happening here. Then if we add one single projection, you get a little bit more vortices. Then if you do the double projection, we're going to get even more. So it's like, you can see how much, I don't know, there's like a lot more of this kind of rotational energy happening here. I actually think the single project is kind of more what I was looking for. So I'm going to go stick with single project. It's always a nice thing to do, you know, A/B your stuff, use the sequence list, which a lot of people don't know exists, but it's there and you can use it. You can even A/B in there. So like you can do the sequence list like this. And then if you do an image and you do compare images, you can like do this, kind of swipe them back and forth. See the difference. Anyways, there you go. Fun stuff. Yeah, let me just do this. Attribute vector. I don't think you can do quaternions in there. And nope, you can only do actual vectors. So there is no attribute adjust quaternion. So yeah, I don't think there's any way you could do that with an attribute adjust. You'd really need to use probably some vex to work with quaternions. I mean, there's maybe other stuff that would do it. VOPs, you could do it in VOPs, but yeah, no problem, Alien. Glad to demonstrate. Okay, so we've got that. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn up the disturbance. That's always important. And when I do the disturbance, I usually use the speed field. So we're going to turn that on. We're going to turn speed on. Oh, the other thing I didn't do, I didn't initialize the color. So I can use this quick setups to add color source. There we go. So now that'll turn on all the color things that I need. I'm going to turn off the flame field because that does not matter. So if we look here, our sourcing, we should also have CD and alpha down here, which is nice. V. This one does not matter. So I'm going to select it and hit delete because we're not doing any burning. So now we should have pink smoke coming out, which is fun. Much more fun than regular boring white smoke. Okay, so there's that. We're also calculating the speed field, which is helpful, and I'll show you that in a second here. So we've got our speed field. There's nothing you really do there. Here's color, great. Flame, we don't need. And here we've got disturbance. I'm gonna use a control field and use speed there. Let's just see what the values are here, like this. Cool. Let's just see what our range is. So 0 to 8 roughly is the range in this frame. So what I'm going to do is not go down to 0 because I don't want there to be this noise everywhere. So we're going to do, I don't know, maybe 0.2, something like that. And then we'll have it go up to, just guessing, maybe 3. I don't know. I wanted to get a lot of disturbance. Actually, no, I'm going to do 2. I want there to be a lot of disturbance at the fast part of this. And so you're probably not seeing much happening yet, but I'm going to just up this a little bit, maybe to like 5. What I'm trying to do is get the ends of this to really, like the front leading edge of this to really start breaking up. There we go. That's too much, but the idea is there. So let's go down to like maybe 15. And let's see how that works there. Yeah, cool. We could also push a little bit more density in here. I think someone mentioned that. So let's maybe up the density to... let's go crazy. Let's go 4. Let's go nuts. Okay. So there was a question here, quite general question. What would you say is the skill set every beginner VFX artist should have? Or what do you think were your strong sides when you started? Hey, that's pretty much me. I started when I was 30, learning VFX about 10 years ago. QT, nice to have you, by the way. What is a skill set every beginner VFX artist should have? Within Houdini, they should know about attributes. That's always what I say. You should know about attributes, because if you don't know about attributes, hey, there you go, Enya, 42, learning now, perfect. I think you want to start out small and kind of work your way up, like learning attributes, learning about proceduralism, then getting into maybe particle simulations, then starting to get into more interesting things like grains. Maybe vellum grains is a good next step, because you can use attributes to be able to, you can start affecting that simulation with the attributes. And then from there, maybe RBD is a good next step. And really, you want to kind of build up from the points, right? The individual points, and start adding more onto it. And if you think about it, a grain simulation is just a fancy particle simulation, and an RBD simulation is just a particle simulation that has geometry attached to it. So you kind of keep adding these things on. Then from there, you might maybe do some, vellum cloth and things like that. Start learning more about the constraints in there, and then start getting into stuff like fluids and smoke and pyro. Actually, pyro's not too bad. You can see here it's not too much to really work with, but you really want to have a good, understanding of what's going on before you start, throwing tons of voxels around. Because as you can see here, I'm at 38 million voxels on this simulation. Now it's fine. It's not like choking on it, but certainly if you can let things get away from you pretty easily. So that is too much noise, too much disturbance. The other thing too is the scale of that disturbance might be a little bit maybe too small. So let's go to 10 here. See what that does for us. Yeah, almost there. Let's do 12.5. We'll meet in the middle somewhere. And see the difference that's happening here? It's adding these little swirls into that leading edge of the smoke. And that's, that's kind of kicking this up in a much more interesting way than we would have otherwise. And actually what I want to do here is I want to add a little more velocity to this. Yeah, no problem, QT. Happy to answer. That's what we're here for. Chatting, hanging out, right? It's in the name. Let's do 2. Let's double the speed. See what happens here. I actually do think that's too much. Let's roll that back a little. Oh, another thing I should be doing here too. I should probably go into here and up your cache. I can go to 32 gigs. Just be careful. Don't go too high on that. You don't want to use up all your RAM. Yeah, that's actually looking fine. Okay, so let's just do one more thing here. It still seems like I would like more velocity. So let's add 4 in here. Cool. Yeah, that's kind of doing what I was hoping for it to do. Maybe a little bit more. A smoke canister? Yeah. So if you had like a smoke canister, I am going to also adjust a couple things in here. Sorry. While I'm doing this, let's change this down to 0.1 and this maybe just to 1. No, sorry. Actually want that to be 0.2. How would you do a smoke canister rolling downstairs? Yeah. So, I mean, basically what you would do with that is like, you have to think about, usually when you're setting up things like that, you want to think about what would be affecting what, right? And ultimately the smoke bomb, like the canister itself, isn't going to be, affecting the actual, like the smoke coming out of the canister is not going to have any effect on it really. So what I would probably do is RBD, like simulate the can like going downstairs, right? If it fell down some stairs, then take that and bring that over into this simulation here, and have those point that we did before, just source them and make sure they, you'd use a thing called a point deform probably, and just use that geometry to put points inside of it basically. So yeah, let me just look at this here, what's going on. Yeah, it's working pretty good. I think maybe it's a little bit too much disturbance still. We can actually look at the disturbance guides as well here. So let's, hello? There we go. Can actually look at the disturbance that's getting influenced in there. And you can see we can change the block size of it, so we can change it larger or smaller. So maybe just a little bit bigger would be good. Yeah, just playing around with this, seeing what might stick and what might not. Yeah, see, I think that's actually okay. So let's go up with this a little bit. I think that's actually still pushing too much velocity around in those outer areas there. So, oh, geez, not 52. Let's do 4 again, maybe, and just do it something like that. See how that works. Oh man, I missed some stuff here. Sorry, I'm gonna turn this guide off. Kind of makes me think of one of those acolytes from an Episcopal church who swings the incense all fancy. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you could do that. Oh, hi, Fiwaxis. Thank you. Render optimizations. Oh, nice. I'm glad you learned some stuff. That's great. Thank you. Fractaler. Yeah, the field is pretty fun. You mean like in Catholic church when they walk up and down the aisle? Yeah, exactly. With the little things swinging them back and forth. Yeah, I mean, this is just simulation of something. Nope, that's too little. So let's just, it's kind of one of these things where you got to kind of keep playing around with it and seeing what works, you know? And honestly, maybe to 4 is going to make more sense because that's going to smooth out the field a little bit more when it gets... Yep, and maybe we just boost this up a little bit. I tried to say push and boost at the same time, and that's weird. All right, let's look at that. No, it's still a little too mushroomy looking. Pushed. Yeah. Let's see here. Keep kind of playing around with these values, so I don't know. We'll see what we get to here, but so, Enya's question about could Pyro be used to make clouds? You could, technically, but it's way too computationally heavy. What you would do for clouds, just as a little example, real quick, a little side tangent here. is you would do a cloud shape generate. And then you get that. And then I think you do a VDB from particles. And that should density like that. Something like this. I mean, I'm doing this incredibly quick, so, you know. And then you would do a cloud billowy noise, I believe. And then you start ooh, I think I went too crazy there. Whoops. Stop. Halt. Oh yes, and then we override the look. There we go. We start to get some better looking stuff. Add in the whirly details maybe. And yeah, you can start to do some interesting stuff here. Do a couple iterations maybe. Yeah, there you go. Do a few iterations of that. Advect some noise if you wanted to in it. You know, that type of stuff. That's how you would make a cloud instead of having you know, a big huge simulation or whatever. Like that would be pretty crazy. Let's turn this down a little bit, maybe like 0.2. No, let's do 0.15. It's crazy. Actually, the 0.1 was so much better. That's so weird. Okay. And yeah, you could change, there's different species. So you could do a humulus and that'll make a longer one like that. Or you could do a congestus. You've got like a one that's going up in the air and you can, you know, you can change all sorts of different things on it. In fact, yeah, you can change all different stuff with it here. And I even think there's a way you can input a bunch of different points into it. Yeah, here's length and width. So you can make like a big, huge thing like this. I'm probably going to crash my computer doing this, but we'll see what happens here. I mean, we won't crash my computer, but there we go. So now you've got like a nice big bank of clouds and they're flat on the bottom and you can do a whole bunch of different stuff. You can do, I think there's a way to do flattening in here. You can also change this to reversed occlusion and it looks more like clouds in the viewport. And that's more what a cloud would look like, right? So you can get a better sense of what that looks like and deepen the valleys. I don't know. All sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah, clouds are cool. You can do some really nice stuff. For cloud cards, use cops for a Pyro setup. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious to see what that's like. But there you go. There's your 6 million voxel cloud, little cloud bank that you can make. Okay, so we've got this here. And I'm just trying to remember what we want to do here. Just trying to think here. No, I haven't done like a custom velocity field in here that I can think of now. Honestly, it's kind of weird. Yeah, the reversed occlusion is cool. I like that one. trying to think here. What is... Whoa, what happened to my color there? That's weird. Why did it get so... Oh, you know what? It changed it for the visualization in the whole thing. That's right. Forgot about that. I think changing this might change it for the whole... Like, no, maybe not. I don't know. That's really weird. Huh. Very weird. I don't know what's going on there. There's some weird... Okay. Let's reset the viewport. There we go. I don't know what happened there. That was weird. Oh, thanks, Emon. I'm trying to think of where you would put the velocity field in here. Yeah, I'm not actually sure where you... I'm forgetting where you'd put it in here. Felt like cotton candy for a second. Hey, Newsins, welcome. Nice to have you. Yeah, I'm trying to think how this would work here because I need to make... Oh, that's so annoying. It's going inside of there. That's right. That's what it's doing. That's really annoying. Anyways, so that's just for collisions. I mean, there's so many different ways you could do this. I feel like you could do... do a line and have it be, I don't know. A suction fan on top. I think you're talking about like a... Probably thinking of some sort of like a fan force or whatever. And yeah, maybe you could do that, but I don't think that actually works for this, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't think that would work here. Like if you did this, don't think that that would work. Yeah. I don't think those work with this. You could use a microsolver. Oh, you could do this. Maybe that would work. Maybe this would work. Sorry. Do a geometry source here. Let's try this. This could work. That is really interesting. What is it doing there? That's so weird. Is that really what that does? Like simulation? Okay, so let's do... There we go. Actually, no, that's silly because now it's forcing that. So let's just change this. If we go up here and then maybe just have it go. Well, let's just leave it like that. That should be fine for right now. It's really annoying. Just go crazy with the scale just to see if we can get this to influence it. Yep, it is. Cool. All right, so we need to do a couple other things here. We need to go in here and change that to 5. Influence radius. Let's go to 5 as well. Yeah, there we go. That's starting to do something. Let's turn the air resistance down a little bit just so it's not like perfectly following it. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up these parameters here and just stay up at this level. So I have to keep going in and out. Yeah, there we go. Let's turn the suction scale down a little bit. Maybe we'll do half on the suction. Yeah, it's like a little twister. It's something. And you could certainly like this here. Could probably go to like 4 actually, and let's do an attribute just vector. We'll just change this to P. We'll do noise because we can animate that. Hey, see you, Fractaler. Okay, so let's do this, and we won't do it in Y. We'll only do it in X and Z. So we'll do something like... Yeah, so we can do something like this. I don't know, make something a little bit more interesting. Oops. And let me just go inside of here. Oh, I have that. Sorry. That. Oh, I see. Division size. So we'll do like that. I don't think this is going to... Oh, we'll just turn that off. We don't need to resample the curve. Oh, something's not happy. White screen. I should be able to cancel this out. It's so nice for this not to be on my like main computer anymore, so I can actually cancel this stuff out more likely than not. All right. You can just look at me. Don't worry about the white screen that's happening. Everything's fine. Hey, look at that. I made it work. Okay. Fun. Let's see here. Oops. Alrighty, so we don't need to do this. Okay, let's try that, just so we don't freak anything out here. Let's go back to the default, because it was working fine. Man, what did I just do here? I just did something that it... Oh, because it's animating each frame. So what I did here now is because I'm animating this. So if I turned this off, this should be way faster because it doesn't have to calculate that every frame. But because I'm calculating this every frame over here with the animation, like if I want it to do this, right, it has to recalculate that every frame. So that's why it's going way slower. If I could hijack everything through PDG and never white screen of Houdini Doom again. I don't think so. I don't think you could do anything to really perfectly get yourself away from that. No, I think the real trick is to use Linux. And I'm sure if Tom was around, he would jump into the chat right now and be like, yes, you should all use Linux all the time, every second of the day. Yeah, the animation's actually like not working. Kind of thought that would be cooler, but apparently not. So let's just turn this off. That's fine. Or we could just turn this on and just not animate it, and then that's fine. Yep, exactly. Spam that escape key. That's the key. Yeah, I mean, I've had kind of good and bad with Windows 11. There's some things that are fine with it. There's some things that aren't. So I'm just gonna up the suction force a little bit here. See if that helps keep it spinning around in a nice way. But anyways, there you go. We're getting some interesting stuff. I mean, you can obviously play around with that and do whatever you want, but yeah, there's our little smoke tornado. It wouldn't let you turn off secure boot in order to boot into Linux. Amazing. Well, you know, Windows is great. It's just the best. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. The amplitude down. Let's just do that. That'll be fine. I think it being a little smoother is better too, because then it has a better chance to actually like do something interesting here. Yeah. So there we go. Use Notepad++. Yeah, I heard about that. I don't know what that is. Anyways, yeah. Fun world we live in here with all this crazy stuff. Can you animate the line? Yeah, sure. I mean, certainly you could animate it with those and then use the normals to follow it upwards. Yeah, I'm just using a really simple what is it? Gas curve force here. And so it's basically just following along that curve, and that's how those forces are being applied to it basically. But yeah, you could certainly animate the line if you wanted to, Gerota, for sure. ROG laptop motherboard died twice. I have a Lenovo laptop and it's been pretty good. I can't complain too much about it, but yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to call that there and say we got some stuff going, and we've got a tornado, and we did some MPM, and I'm actually pretty happy with that. So I think we're going to call things there and, call it a night, because I'm ready to move on to some other things in my day. Oh, man. That sounds terrible. Never buy another Asus product. Hey, I'm not here to bash any products or anything like that. I'm just here to teach some Houdini, but certainly all products are not created equal. So yeah, if you guys would like to join the Discord server, there's a link on HoudiniHangout.com. You're more than welcome to do that. If you would like to get the files from this stream, you can go on there and you can grab those from a link in one of the Discord channels. There's a project or a stream files, I think it's called, and you can go in there and you can grab any of the streams from any of the dates in the past. So feel free to do that tonight if you want to mess around with any of this stuff or go further with what I did. Certainly, I didn't do anything overly crazy, but feel free. Grab them, do whatever you might want to do with them. But like I said, that's going to be it for me tonight. And yeah, just thank you all for hanging out and chatting and just making it more fun than if it was just me sitting here by myself. So thank you all. And yeah, very cool. Good to have you all. And I won't be streaming the next couple of weeks. I'll be out on a trip out on the West Coast doing some work stuff. So won't be streaming then. But after that, keep an eye on the Discord and on social media and stuff like that. And I'll be around. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in a few weeks. All right, have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.